Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to But First Football. This is episode 15, rocking right along. And exciting news, we actually are up and running on social media. So if you are so inclined, please check us out on Instagram, Facebook, X/Twitter, and YouTube, and give us a like and a follow. And if it's applicable, a subscribe, so we can keep trying. But we're up and running on the social, Vaughn.
Awesome.
So how you doing, Vaughn?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I can't
Okay.
complain. Yeah.
So we'll just take a moment and we'll say, as you all know, those of you who have been listening along or following along, Vaughn Parker is our resident football phenom, 11 seasons in the NFL, and I am Kim Beal, your first lady of football fandom and fashion, and this is our podcast, But First Football. And Vaughn, we love you for being here today because Vaughn did the responsible adult thing yesterday and had a colonoscopy.
Yes.
So we know that all of our favorite words start with F. So we'll file this under like fitness/health and fitness. I'm really proud of you for doing this. I think it is something that all people should do because colon cancer does kill, and it did kill my father at age 59. That's way too young, and it can be dealt with. So
Yeah.
you had your colonoscopy, and that was your first one.
It was. I was
Fun times, right?
yeah, and I think they recommend you take your first one at 50, so I was 3 years overdue, so I was a little apprehensive about that, which is I think a lot of guys just live by the mantra, if it's not bothering me, I'm not gonna bother it. And so I don't want to know. But the thing about the colonoscopy is it's one of the cancers that if you catch it early, you can take care of it. It's not an issue. So yeah, I just wanted to do the responsible thing. It's like when they tell you when you're taking off, on an airplane, if the airbags come down for any reason, take care of yourself first, then help those around you. So it was just that similar type of thing. I can't help my friends and family if there's something going on with me. So it's just yeah, and it went well, like no issues. So yeah, I was happy to hear that.
Good. Well, I'm really glad you did it. I've had three because based on, of course, my dad's history,
Right.
it's definitely not the most fun process, the prep work,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
but you do get a really good nap
Yeah.
during the procedure.
Oh yeah. I was looking forward
but
to that.
but to your point, it's important to take care of yourself for those who love you and
Yes.
who are around you. So thank you for doing that. I am proud of you, and I'm glad it
Okay.
all went
Thank
well.
you.
So moving on, our first segment, football fundamentals. We're going to talk today. You're going to share a little bit about the JJ McCarthy situation
Yeah.
and what does it mean when a key player goes down for the season in preseason. I
Right.
mean, yeah. I think everyone in Minnesota is like, oh, even though I don't think it was their intent to start him right away, but that's going to be our fundamental
Yeah.
conversation. So I'll let you take it away.
Okay. Yeah, and that's why it struck me when I saw it because I was like, okay, well, what do we do now? You're right. I don't think they intended to start him right away, but he was part of the plan for this season. And I think the idea was perhaps at some point in the season he would become the starter, after a lot of prep. But like you said, the NFL, life throws you curveballs and you have to react. And so it made me think about those times where on the practice field someone goes down and the cold hard truth of it is the practice doesn't stop. They just move the
Yeah.
drill. They move 10 yards down the field. The training staff and doctors attend to the injured player and everyone else just keeps going. And it's apropos for the bigger metaphor of that NFL locker room is going to continue to go. So it just made me start thinking about those types of situations that I've witnessed myself or perhaps gone through with some of my injuries where I'd miss significant time. And that guy, it's that. So it's tragic in that way, I guess, but also
Yeah.
an opportunity for that next man up. The NFL is all about the next man up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just was like, huh, like, what was Minnesota thinking right now? What is that kid thinking? So it's a little difficult. At least I found it a little difficult to stay completely engaged when you're kind of on the back burner with a significant injury that's going to keep you out for more than a few weeks, right? Because of course you're still on the team, you're not on the active roster anymore, and you're welcome at those meetings. You're welcome to everything. However, it's still incumbent upon you because now you're not in the game plan, right? You're not, hey, we don't need
Right.
you at your position. So how do I stay engaged beyond just being a rah-rah guy? If you have an injury, say it's an upper body injury, well, there's probably no issue if you're on the sideline, or, and that might depend on the team's process, the team's rules about where they want guys, once they're injured, that type of thing. But if you're a prominent player who's injured, you're most likely your coach would want you there, almost being a second coach in a way. Hey, I need another set of eyes. You watch and you give me any feedback that you see. Right? That's one of the ways that an older guy can perhaps contribute when they've got that
But
long
this
term.
guy is a
Yeah.
rookie, brand
Well, right.
new. Like he so what does that mean? And do you think, did he possibly have this injury prior to camp? I mean, it seems like a really big injury to be sitting out the entire season.
That was my
And
first
training, I mean,
thought.
it just started.
But that was my first thought, that perhaps it was something that was pre-existing, but not necessarily. You can have an injury, and once they get in there, you don't know, right? You don't know until you get in there and see it, and you think, because how often have we heard during the season a guy has a meniscus injury, they repair it, a month later he's back. Well, sometimes that meniscus is to the point where, hey, we got to give it more rest. We don't want, and I think it's probably more of an abundance of caution in this situation. He
Mhm.
is a guy who they're banking on the future, and if there's any risk to cause any more severe injury, why risk it? If especially if perhaps they don't see themselves as competing for a championship this year, right? Well, let's just take
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
and I know it's crazy to talk in, like, because your window's so finite as a professional athlete anyway, and to say, hey, let's just take a whole year off. But it's probably the combination, a little bit worse than they thought, an abundance of caution. Why rush him back? Um, I'll tell you this: if it was the Patriots, we wouldn't have known whether it was a 1 week injury or a year long injury,
Oh,
because
yeah,
nothing
yeah.
comes out of there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think Sam Darnold is thinking? Like, I mean, is he happy that he like is gonna get he's likely the guy, or is he like, oh man?
No, I think he's been around the league long enough to know he should be neutral on it. Oh
Yeah.
man, hopefully he's gotten to know the kid a little bit, and I'm sorry for him, but you know what? This is another opportunity for me to prove my worth in this league and stop being a journeyman. I He wants to Wally Pipp him, right? And for the
Right.
reference, for those who don't know, Wally Pipp was the starter at first base before Lou Gehrig took over, I believe, through an injury. And then Lou Gehrig, of course, went on to break the record,
That was
2,100
it.
games in a row for the
Or he's the
career.
Tom Brady, the Tom Brady to the Drew Bledsoe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. More sport appropriate.
So, I do you think that the NFL is being a little more cautious with injuries? I noticed last night in the preseason game, which of course, why is it only the Patriots? I mean, I had to watch another Patriot game from start to finish. I was like, oh, please. But sorry, Patriot fans. I'm just not one of you, but I appreciate it. But a guy got hurt, a Patriot player, I think it was a Patriot player, got hurt kind of later in the game, and he did go off on a cart. I guess I feel like I don't typically see the carts as frequently, maybe as we're seeing now. Is it just like really, like you said, an abundance of caution?
There's always a possibility that a league-wide memo went out. I tend to doubt it. It's typically the injury management is all at the local level, meaning it's that training staff, it's that doctor group, and hey, how are we going to go about managing these injuries? You do see some things league wide, I think, in terms of but you usually hear about that. It's usually announced, like concussion protocols, for instance, and
Right.
having
Yeah.
a doctor or a medical staff person on staff to specifically watch for anyone who might have an undiagnosed concussion. How are guys getting around? But the league will typically announce those things. I haven't heard anything, so I'm not saying it's not the case, but it's possible.
So going back to Minnesota for a minute, they probably didn't think they were necessarily in contention, but they have Justin Jefferson, the
Yes,
highest paid wide receiver in the NFL.
yes.
And what do you think is going through his mind right now? Or I mean, is it just that is as a football player, are you just that ready to work with the next guy? Is it that kind of mindset?
Well, I played a different position, right? So I didn't play dependent position. I did what I did. Whereas at receiver, you're dependent on the quarterback delivering the ball to you. And he's had people have their issues with Kirk Cousins, but his time with Justin Jefferson was very fruitful. They were a good combo. So he was competent. And so Justin Jefferson put up huge numbers with Kirk Cousins. Now, this is the first time where he hasn't had that and where there's some uncertainty at the position. So I'm sure he's thinking about it. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not there and I haven't necessarily kept up with the day to day of Minnesota's training camp to know who he had a better rapport with. Was it JJ or was it Darnold? But yeah, he's got to be thinking about it. At the same time, he looks in the mirror every morning and says, "Hey, I'm Justin Jefferson. I'm going to go dictate to the defense what happens, and I'm going to be successful regardless." It's not.
He
It's
does have he has an alter ego named Jet.
oh, is that from the Netflix? The Netflix. Yeah, so it's like he's not worried, but he's aware. He's aware of it. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. Preseason. This the first year that they've gone from the 90 straight to the 53 on August 27th. I think we talked about that before. They usually have cut
Yeah,
from
there's
week
usually
to week
another
to
cut down
week.
in the
Yeah.
middle. Yeah.
I mean, half the team is going to go on
Yep.
August 27th.
But I think that's partially because now there's 3 preseason games instead of the 4, and
Yeah.
now this is just a little bit more of a streamlined way. And yeah, for certain guys, it's going to be a nerve-wracking time where you're hoping you don't get that call on Sunday up to the office. Hey, bring your playbook, right? Um, but at the same time,
So is that
hopefully,
how it wait, is that how it works though? They'll like everyone will be at the facility. They call you, or like in that movie Major League in Baseball, you get a red tag in your locker.
yeah. Well, that hasn't been my experience, but not necessarily at the facility. Maybe some guys are at the facility getting rehab. Maybe some guys are in their dorm, wherever. But yeah, you'll get a call and they'll have you come up. But hopefully, over these past few weeks, you've put some good tape out because everyone gets the tapes. It's not you don't just get the
Right.
tape teams you see coming up. Those pro personnel people, they're scouting all those tapes to see, hey, who we know cuts are coming, who can play. Maybe he didn't fit at his current team, but we have a role that we think he can fill with us. So hopefully you put some good tape out there, and as soon as you get cut, you're getting called to me. And that was the thing. That was the thing about NFL players, at least the guys I played around. Our idea, our thought process was always all it takes is one team. All it takes is one coach. All it takes is one GM to be interested. I'll be
Hmm.
okay, right? So that's how you have to think about it. Things don't always work out for different reasons. Not always just player performance. Sometimes it's what I get paid versus what someone else gets paid, and
Hmm.
that's the bad business side of things. They can pay a younger guy less, and so that makes sense for what they need to do. And so maybe you're a casualty because of that. But as the player, you're like, all I need is one. It only takes one, right?
Yeah. Well, I
Um,
mean, I guess you have to have some level of confidence like that so
yeah,
you don't go crazy.
yeah. Yeah. Look, if you make it to the NFL, you got an ego. You got a healthy ego, I'll
Yeah.
say.
Yes. Yes.
And so
Yeah.
if you don't believe in you, no one else will.
Well, it's a shame that that happened to JJ. I feel like that the Vikings have had a lot of little injury drama lately, and it just seems to continue. So I'm not
Yeah.
a super Viking fan, but feel bad for them. You hate to lose your number one draft pick before the season even starts, and
Well, that
we'll
was
see
the
what
other
happens.
thing. Before the pre-draft, that's what I was hearing the whole time is about like Minnesota was the best situation of these top 6 or 7 quarterbacks being drafted. That's the situation you want to be in because they're kind of ready and you
But
just never
and
know.
so Vaughn, so they really can't. They can't afford to pick anybody else up. I mean, his contract is signed, right? I mean, he's in. So if you
Yeah,
think
well,
about just like last night, so the Patriots still carrying Jacoby Brissett, Drake May,
hmm
Zappy, and Joe Milton.
yeah.
So one of those guys is going to be available. So is that something Minnesota could like? Would they pick someone else up? How
Yeah,
does
oh
that
yeah.
work?
I'm sure they will because I would have expected JJ McCarthy to be the backup, the main backup, and so they've got to bring in someone else who's competent, who can win 2 or 3 games in a pinch for them. So yeah, they're definitely going to bring someone else in, unless perhaps I don't know who it is. Forgive me, but the whoever the third string quarterback was,
I don't know
maybe
either.
they like how he's progressed and maybe they give him the opportunity. We'll see. I don't know if did they play. I don't know if they played last night, but perhaps this
No.
weekend he'll get more reps to see. Hey, can this be the guy? And then sometimes, look, Tuesdays are the players' day off. That's typically for most teams
Mhm.
on a regular day. As players, we always loved Victory Monday, meaning you win Sunday and coach would throw you a bone and give you Monday, Tuesday off.
Yeah.
Uh, but on those days off, uh, pro personnel, and the GMs are always bringing guys in on Tuesday to work out to see, hey, can you be signed? Can you help this
Interesting.
team? So, and it's just every Tuesday they roll guys in. They're working out a handful of guys to see
I
to
used to
replace
I
them.
used to make an announcement to the store team when I was still working, and like, okay, it's Tuesday. The Bucks are off today. We'll probably see them shopping.
Yeah. Well, way back when malls were a thing, Tuesday was my shopping day.
Yeah, it's when you got to do everything, right?
Yes, GameStop, video games, CDs, DVD.
All the important things.
Exactly.
And now in my store, it was shoes,
Yeah.
fragrance. Well, let's see. So we'll see some stuff on Saturday. We'll watch the Vikings and see. There's no game tonight, which I'm kind of bummed about. I'm like, wait, I wanted a Friday game, but there's a whole bunch of games tomorrow and then
Yeah.
two on Sunday.
Yeah.
So let's move into the frenzy because there's some interesting stuff going on right now. Number one, I have to give my Bucks shout out because they're my Bucks, and Tristan Wirfs was selected as number 7 in the top 25 young players under 25. He's number
Okay.
7.
Okay.
So yay, Tristan! I am not surprised, and I agree. Although I think he should be number 1. I don't remember who was number 1. So there's my little Buck shout out. That, and I actually thought they played very well in preseason. The I mean, I know it was preseason. I know it was a little bit sloppy, but I think what I'm feeling is just still that energy that I noticed in training camp seems to
Mhm.
carry on. And I'm very excited for the season. I was super excited about Bucky Irving, the running back. Should take a lot of pressure off of Rashad White. He looked great. And I guess my biggest concern that I didn't necessarily see any really a major change would be the secondary. That's
Okay.
still our area of opportunity. So anyway, I thought the game was exciting, and they looked good. They looked good.
That's and that goes back to remember Gerard Mayo said it last week. You know, they don't count, but they matter. And so
Yeah.
you want to see the team come together. You want to see a certain energy level. You want to see a certain a certain spirit. And so yeah, because you know what, Kim, there's teams out there who aren't saying that about fans necessarily out there who aren't saying that about their teams. Like what's going on?
Yes.
Like where's
Yeah.
the enthusiasm? Where's the oomph? Right? So
I agree, and I don't think I would have said that last year, but even last night or Wednesday night, I was at a board meeting for the Freddie Solomon Advisory, and these guys on that board, they're big Bucks fans, and we were talking about it, the energy.
yeah,
And Coach Bulls, he's bringing the energy this year too. You know, he's really. I just feel like he's stepping up and showing a little bit more of his personality, which I love to see. So
yeah.
I am ready, and we play Jacksonville Saturday night in Jacksonville. So we'll see how that goes, and then wrap up preseason with Miami here.
Okay.
So that's the Bucks update for all of you who care, and everyone should care. Okay. But a couple little things that I was wanted to just chat with you about. Number one, did you hear that Jim Harbaugh offered Colin Kaepernick a coaching position?
I did. I sure
And he
did.
didn't take it because he wants to still play. So, what are your thoughts? He's 37 or almost 37. I mean,
Well, I hadn't heard that he had made up his mind. What I heard was that he was out of the country and he was considering the offer,
oh,
but that perhaps that's part of it. Like, I just, I would think it would be so difficult for him to come back, especially at that position, but any position really where you're out of the league for 8 years and then make a comeback would be, excuse me, an extraordinary situation. And I would wish him all the luck in the world because I think he deserves it because I think it was such a tragedy what happened to him and
agree.
they wasted the prime of his career. But I think it will be extraordinarily difficult to come back as a player. And obviously, you know, he was Jim's quarterback when he went to the Super
Hmm.
Bowl, and Jim made that tough decision to sit Alex Smith and put in Colin, and they had a lot of success. And so uh, I hate that it had to be a friend of his who made that. And I don't even know if it's an olive branch because I don't know if that would make up for what happened to him. And I just think I'm a huge Colin Kaepernick fan just because
Me too.
he was in such a good place and didn't have to care about other people. I think some people still to this day question why he did it. Like he was good, but it is for those kids who aren't quarterbacks in the NFL who get pulled over and there's
Yep.
no one watching and and he was like, look, I get this is something that's just burning deep in me. I got to bring awareness to it. And then I think about I saw a clip a short time ago from Jason Whitlock, and he said it was in response to something to do with LeBron, and he said that LeBron doesn't understand that racism does exist, but it doesn't exist for people like him. It only exists for people in a lower socioeconomic status, and that just isn't the case. Now, on a day-to-day basis, does LeBron have to deal with it? No, but he could easily get pulled over some night on the side of the road and have some officer who has a something to prove or gets off on the fact that hey, I got LeBron James on the side of the road, and so that's the bigger picture of what Colin Kaepernick was doing, and I just hate that it all became about the flag and disrespecting the flag. And if you remember, he actually met with a veteran who,
Yes.
if I remember, wasn't crazy about the fact that he was protesting, but said, "Hey, if you're going to do it, here's how to do it. Don't sit down. Why don't you kneel?" That I think that would be
Yes.
more
I
respectful.
I
Colin
I
listened
remember that.
and respected it, and and that's what I never got either. That everyone was so up in arms that he was disrespectful, but I thought America was about being able to protest.
It
And
is.
yeah, I just
It is.
so I'm just a
It
huge fan of
it's
his, and I hope whatever he decides works out for him.
I do too, and I think that, I mean, I certainly would never even begin to put myself in his shoes, and I, could completely understand wanting to come back and play in the game that he loved and he left, but I certainly feel like he could make a big impact as a coach as well. So
Yeah.
it'll be an interesting storyline to watch. But I'm a Kaepernick fan as well, so
Well,
I hope to see him back in the game in some way, shape, or form.
but here's another thing too to think about with a Colin Kaepernick in your organization. Clearly, he's someone who thinks differently, handles situations differently, and I don't want to open up a whole other tangent of the whole diversity, equity, inclusion thing, but you don't think it would benefit a young athlete to have someone from a diversity standpoint, not giving someone a job because of their skin color, but someone who thinks diversely, who has a diverse perspective
Of
on
course, it
how to
would
handle
be
situation
huge.
X, situation Y, and would help that athlete because ultimately that's what people don't get. It's not about these what company gives out handouts. They don't. You know what they do though? They're trying to win. And if I can bring
Yeah,
in someone who thinks differently, who's going to help me outperform the next company B, then I'm going to bring those people in. And Colin Kaepernick will have a huge impact on an
I
athlete. But
agree.
hey, handle this situation this way, perhaps. I know you haven't thought about it because very few people do, right? And so
Yep.
yeah. So I just hope it works out for him.
Me too. Me too. I would love
Yeah.
to see it. But another interesting thing, and I wanted to ask you about it. I noticed last night, going across underneath the game, Sean McVay is having a guest head coach on Sunday or Saturday, and
Oh,
he
really?
is having his. Oh, can I even read my writing? Aubrey Aubrey Pleasant, who I believe is his O line. No, not O line, but maybe his offensive coordinator. Anyway, he's going to be the guest head coach in
Okay.
Saturday's game. I kind of like that.
You know what? I wonder if perhaps Sean feels like he should be getting opportunities to interview. And if this is perhaps a way to give him some real life experience where he's running the show, and I'm assuming if it's not just going to be on Saturday, I'm assuming it was throughout this week where perhaps he
Yeah,
may had to make some of those decisions. With I'm sure Sean looking over his shoulder, but
yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
I
I
love
hadn't
it.
heard that.
I would love to see more of that. I think that's pretty cool. It gives guys an opportunity. You
Yes,
got the players out there with opportunity during preseason. You're trying out different players, so
yes,
why not give these coaches a shot? I love
yes.
it. I thought it was
Well,
cool.
I think a lot of people, it's one of those situations where if you do something that you love and then you make it a business, you quickly realize that you spend very little time doing the thing that you love. Well, I think being a head coach is similar. Like you don't spend as much time coaching players up as you think. There's a million other touch points that you have to take
Right.
care of as the head
Yeah.
coach in terms of the time management and dealing with the media and dealing with management and dealing with the getting the report from the training staff. And so it's like, when do I get to coach players exactly?
Well, and it'll be interesting to see what McVay is doing during the game. You
Yeah.
know, I did watch part of their preseason game, and they had him mic'd up the whole time, and he's pretty funny, and he was really engaging with the commentators. So I'll be interested. I'll definitely tune in and see how that game goes because I think that's a really cool concept. So I
Well,
applaud Sean McVay.
well, now I will too. I'll tune in as well.
And okay, what was my other thing? Okay, two other things for the frenzy. Um, the tush push. Love it or hate it.
I'm neutral, other than to say it's a play. If it didn't work, no one would have anything to say about it. But they're upset because it works. Oh, well, at least when Philly does it, it works.
Well, yeah. So they used it last night. New England was playing Philadelphia. I don't know. Did you see it, or were you just like flat out
No,
asleep?
I was out of commission last night.
I figured. They did try it toward the end, and it was with their, I don't know, whoever they had in at QB at the time. I don't think it worked. But you know what I think it is about the tush push for me? I
What's
just
that?
don't like that name.
Right.
I just think it sounds ridiculous.
Well, and now that you say it that way, I haven't checked to see, but I'm pretty sure I would bet money Philly doesn't call it that.
I wonder. I wonder. Well, maybe we'll get that information from Jason Kelsey since he's going to be on TV now. And then that leads me to my next thing. Did you see that ESPN fired RG3?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
And
I liked him. I liked him in the booth.
yeah, and I
So,
saw Sam Ponder win as well, so I'm not
mhm.
sure. I'm assuming maybe it's just more of their cuts. I know they made quite a few cuts in a few months ago, and so if that's
That's what the article said.
okay, yeah, yeah, I thought he was good too, and I know he did college and pro for them, so you would think that was a way to save on money
Yeah.
by having a guy who could do either game, but yeah, I did see that. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, but I guess now is Jason Kelsey on ESPN? I think he is. I I mean, and they're paying him a lot of money.
Yeah, well, they brought
But
well, so that's the thing, right? They let people go in the name of cost savings, and then, they brought in quite a few new people who they're paying gobs of money. But that's always going to be the ebb and flow of a business. And hey,
yeah.
we think these people, Jason Kelsey has a crazy following from his playing days and his podcast with his brother, and so I'm sure the calculation and expectation is that he'll bring some of those
Well,
folks with him,
yeah.
right? So
It makes sense. It
yeah,
does make
yeah,
sense. I mean, and he's a recent, I mean, literally months out of the league.
yep,
Um to your point, his podcast, his brother's girlfriend, you
yes.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, how could I forget about his
They're
brother's
not
girl?
stupid. Well, that was everything that I kind of had for the frenzy. Anything, I mean, you've had a distraction this week. So
Yeah, yeah, I've
anything
been
that
kind of
you
out
noticed,
of them.
anything you saw that you wanted to bring up football wise?
No, I think we got a pretty good mix today.
We did. So, moving on to a little bit of fashion, you know how I feel about fast fashion.
Hmm.
It is one of those things that I'm not a big fan of. I don't think that it makes sense for our world anymore. But I did notice when I was looking at WWD the other day, Women's Wear Daily. For those of you who don't know, because you football folk might not know that Women's Wear Daily. Um, Cirque and Cirque is launching their second collaboration with Zara, and the new pieces are made with 50% of my writing is so bad. I don't know I don't know what I was thinking. So 50% of recycled poly slash cotton, and then the other 50% wood pulp.
Oh
So
wow.
I'm very interested in this. Wood pulp has been used in a lot of different fabrications. I remember way back in the day when I was, early on in my career, there was this brand called Democracy, and they made a lot of it was very casual clothing. It looked kind of denimish, but it was made out of this fabrication called Tencel, which was wood pulp. So wood pulp in fashion has been around for a while, but I'm excited to see what Zara does with this, and hopefully, this will kind of start more and more collabs like this in the world of fast fashion. So that was something that I noticed and am excited about. So, would love to get
So,
your daughter's thoughts on that too.
yeah, yeah. I'll ask her about see if she's heard about it. But now, is what is Cirque known for?
I don't know. So I got to do a little more research on
Okay.
them. And I mean, so just anyone who's going to make that foray into fast fashion and try to fix it, I'm excited about.
Gotcha.
So we'll check it out. More to come on that. Also, I had a touch base. I'm still in the process of being a coach and a mentor to this designer for the Tampa Bay Fashion Experience event, which is September 26th, at the Vault in Tampa. Anyone's interested. But my design partner, Rebecca, is all about sustainable fashion and repurposing. And so the things that I saw the beginnings of her pieces last night, I just am blown away. I'm so excited. I can't wait to show you what she comes up with. So we've got a little photo shoot and interview coming up on August 28th. So we might have we can tease out a few things, but wow, she's just really, she's got these great faux fur pieces that she's tearing up and cutting up, and bustiers that she's found, that she's doing all kind. I don't want to ruin it for her, but she's incredibly creative and talented, and I hope that we keep seeing more and more of this kind of work in fashion, the reuse and the recycling of product that's just sitting out there. So it's
Okay.
cool. Yeah, very cool.
Nice.
Very cool. And then I can share just a little bit, my philanthropy, F for philanthropy. My daughter I'm just going to say that my daughter Elizabeth is so awesome and so cool. I was signed up to run 2 Meals on Wheels routes today,
Mm-hmm.
but my friend Anthony, who I frequently go with, he was sick. So you can do it alone, but it's hard to do alone. It takes a lot longer. And sometimes you don't really want to be out there by yourself. So I said to my daughter, hey, you've got 2 days left before you have to go to school. Do you want to do this with me? And she did. So she got up early with me. We went out and we ran 2 routes. And, the thing I love about Meals on Wheels is it's food. And today it was food, family, and philanthropy. And it's just such a great thing to do. And I know I've said this before, but anyone who has a Meals on Wheels organization in their community, I think it's a really worthwhile thing to do. And we had a fairly smooth route today. The only thing is I was looking for the address on one place, and I apparently almost steered us into a ditch. And Alyssa was like, there's a ditch, and then there's ducks, and you're going to kill the duck family, and blah, blah, blah. But I didn't. I made it, and we got there. And then it was kind of funny because the last 6 deliveries we made were in this one apartment complex. And it's a complex, mostly Spanish speakers, many of Cuban descent. And it's also a Friday, so we had weekend deliveries to go with it. So we had to organize all of our deliveries before we went in. So we had all these 6 deliveries, weekend deliveries. We're writing the apartment number on the bag so we know where we're going. And then we realized that we were supposed to have a few renal meals for people who have kidney
kidney issues. Yeah.
issues. And we did not have the renal meals. We had only regular meals. So we were like, what do we do? So we gave them to them anyway. And I don't think it's like that serious, but
Oh man.
we probably should have checked before we left Meals on Wheels. So my bad.
Well, wait, Kim. So how many deliveries will you have on one route?
So I did 2 routes today. We had, I think, 12 on one and 6 on the other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then some of them don't get the weekend meals. Some of them only get the hot meals. And then, we make it fun when we're packing it all up. We say hot reg in the window. That means hot regular. We just do our little restaurant speak. But it was just really fun to do it with Elizabeth, because she used to do it with me a lot, and I missed that, and she was really helpful. Whereas when she first started doing it with me, she was a little more like she would control the radio, and I'd be like, "Hey, are you helping me look for this address?" But she was just super helpful today, and just always enjoy that time with her regardless. And anyway,
Well, good for
fun to
Elizabeth.
do. Yeah, really fun to do. How are Maddie? How's Mackenzie? Have you heard from her? How's Arkansas treating her?
It's going. She's in Arkansas. And it's so funny because her sister, when she let us know that this is what she was doing, her sister offline told me, she's like, Dad, who goes from California to Arkansas? People go the other way, but who goes from California to Arkansas? So, yeah, so she's doing well. And then, and I think I told you, Maddie will be back home in, call it 3 weeks.
Nice.
And yeah, so she, went up to Canada and had planned to be up there for 2 years, decided that she was just going to do the year, come back here, figure out her next move, which part of it is she wants to move to Hawaii now. So,
Well,
yeah.
worse things have happened.
Yeah, exactly. But she'll be home in 3 weeks, so that'll be fun. I'll have my lunch partner back, and
Yeah. So let's talk about food for a minute.
okay.
So when you came out of the colonoscopy, what was the first thing you ate?
Oh man. So I ended up at a taco place, and because my procedure was up in Newport in Orange County,
Oh, okay.
and so on the way back, I ended up stopping in Oceanside at a taco place, and it was okay. I'll say this: it was very good. Probably not good enough to get me to drive all the way to Oceanside, but if I'm in the area,
You'll stop there.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Because you can trip
Now,
and fall into a good taco place in San Diego, right?
so
So
true.
yeah.
So true. So true. You didn't drive yourself?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just making sure.
No, they oh my God, they questioned me 1,000 times about, yeah, someone yes, I do.
When I had my first colonoscopy, it was when we still lived in San Diego, and the first place I was done and out by like 10:30, and I'm like, it's 10:30, and I go In-N-Out. We're going to In-N-Out. So James took me to In-N-Out, and I get the grilled cheese,
Yep.
and and fries, and literally by the time we were out of the parking lot, James reached in the bag for some fries, and they were gone. So yeah, that first meal after all that it's important.
Yes. Agreed.
Well, good. I think we are at time, and once again, I'm just really happy that went well for you. Happy that you did it. For anyone who has any sort of family history, for anyone who is over 50, please get a colonoscopy. They're not the worst things in the world, and it can save your life. So
Yeah.
that is our PSA. And then we got a lot of games to watch this weekend, and it just keeps getting closer and closer.
Oh, right.
I'm excited. Did you know, by the way, that there's a Friday game? So the first game is Thursday night, September 5th. And then there's a Friday game in Brazil?
Oh, I didn't know. Really?
Yes. What
You know who's
the
playing?
hell? Kansas City and somebody.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in Brazil.
Interesting.
Yeah. So every day is football.
Yeah.
Except Tuesdays.
Yeah. Oh man. I wonder if it's the Raiders, because the Raiders have a big. I know they're big.
In Mexico, but they played in Mexico City.
Oh, they do. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I was saying it, because I know they played in Mexico City before. They have a pretty big following down there, so I just in my head made the extension to South America, which I know is different, but
yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
NFL.
All right, NFL. They're amazing.
Yep.
All right, Vaughn. Well, good to see you, and I will catch up with you next week. And everyone, thank you so much for watching and listening. But first, football, and please give us a like and a follow on our various social media platforms. and we'll be back next week.
All right. See you, Kim.
All right. Thanks, Vaughn. Bye.
Bye.